There you go.
Okay, so we are recording,
Okay.
and Evelyn Warren wants to come.
Yay! That's my girl.
Yeah,
She's the one that introduced me to you.
that's exactly right. Maybe what we ought to do is have Evelyn introduce you.
That would be awesome.
Evelyn, would you like to do that? Oh, she hasn't got her audio going yet. Well,
Okay, we can't get Evelyn.
no,
Is she on the phone?
She on the phone.
no, she's connecting to audio.
Oh,
Oh, no, this is that's Bernard.
Okay.
oh, I see Evelyn. That's her home right there.
Yes,
But it says connecting to audio.
yes. Well, that's Derek. Will you open us in prayer?
Well, we have it to. Father in heaven, we thank you for this opportunity to come before you and before your people. We just ask that you would anoint this presentation, that it would pierce the darkness of people's mind and bring light and strength and hope to them in their bodies. And we thank you so much for Star Waters and this presentation. We thank you, Lord, because we're in desperate need of strength. We're in desperate need of building our immune system. And now, Lord, you brought Star on here to show us, to tell us how to do that in this COVID-19 era we're living in. Amen.
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 So is Evelyn still connecting with the audio, it looks like. So are you there, Evelyn? So it says she's connecting.
Well, let's Sandy can introduce it. Sandy know about it.
So
You don't want to do it, Sandy?
okay.
Okay.
All right. I'll introduce my dear sister Star. So Star, Evelyn, her friend that is coming on, introduced Star and me. Man, it's been almost a year ago.
I don't know. At least 9 months.
Yeah.
Pretty much maybe a year, almost a year. Well, a year ago I was there and I didn't know you then.
That's
so
right.
Yeah, maybe about 8 months or so ago.
Right. But it was before COVID because we were planning on having you come when you were here to the church.
That's right.
Doing a presentation, then COVID hit. But Star has a tremendous story, and I'm not going to tell you her story because some of you folks know, but some of you don't. And Star does a great job of telling her story. She has a tremendous testimony about where she has been and what the health message has done for her over time. I tell you, it makes her look like she's 50 years old. So
that old?
I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I took the looks and I knew that, and I knew the ability that you have and all that, because all that comes from experience, and you can't get that in 20 years of experience. So I added that to it. So
you
please,
cleaned it real well. Yeah, you cleaned it up real
well. Anyhow, and Star was she and Sandy had me on their radio show, and where we talked about the dairy industry. So we've had a great connection. I'm looking forward, as we all are, to hearing Star talk about her testimony and what she's been through, and we'll ask her questions later.
There's Evelyn.
And
yes, there's Evelyn.
There she is.
Hey.
Evelyn, we're trying to get you to introduce her. Anyhow, so let me go ahead and start Star, and I'm letting people in while you are starting.
Oh, wonderful. I am just so eternally grateful.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, to be here. Second of all, to have been asked to be here. That was just such a highlight in my life, because your ministry is so amazing. You have these awesome speakers and these very knowledgeable individuals that know their stuff. And when you asked me to come and be a part of your wellness ministry, you don't know because you didn't see me, but my jaws dropped and I'm like, me?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
how can I walk in those people's footsteps, in their shoes, the ones that have come before me? What can I possibly say to your people about wellness, about eating, and about plant-based eating that they probably haven't already heard from the absolute best, wisest of all? And so that's when I asked you, would you mind if I spoke on raw food and raw food eating?
Yeah.
And I was so glad that you said yes, because then I knew that there was a little bit of space in all of your wonderful speakers in that lineup that I could have a place to fit into. And so thank you very much. And so I am definitely here, able, and ready to give you what you need tonight.
Well, welcome. And we are excited to have you here. You know, even when the speakers that have come before, if we can see someone that has taken some of the things that they have told about
Mhm.
and then see the results,
Yeah.
that is a greater testimony than the speakers themselves just telling us. That's like a lecture sitting up on at a podium and lecturing a class, and nobody's seen somebody that's gone through it. You've been there as well as some of the rest of it. So we look forward to hearing how it has affected you. And watch.
Well, go ahead. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, I was
I
done.
was going to say, back in the day, they used to say, been there, heard it and seen it, got the t-shirt and the matching hat. Absolutely. I have lived it and I have overcome it. And
Mhm.
now I am moving forward.
That's right.
And what's so amazing about this evening's presentation is that I've got my feet in my old stomping grounds. You know, they're in Portland. Well, first of all, let me back up a bit in case I'm gonna try to be as professional as I can. So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Star Waters, and I am here this evening talking to you from Atlanta, Georgia. But don't get that all shucking out now, because I'm a home girl. I am originally from Portland, Oregon. P.O. I don't think they call it that anymore, but I've been gone a while. Yay, Evelyn. I'm from Portland, Oregon, born and raised. Lived in Portland until I was about maybe 59 years old.
Mhm.
Took about 8 years away in between that, traveling with my husband while he was in the military. But we came right on back to Portland, Oregon, and stayed there until I was about 58 years old, and then I moved to Atlanta. So it's just great just knowing that some of your audience will relate a lot to my story, because I'm going to be talking about things that happened in my past, and my past is in Portland, Oregon.
Okay.
All righty. So I don't see everybody's names. A lot of people just done chickened out and they done blocked themselves out, but that's okay. The ones I'm seeing, it's good to see you, and I know I have your support. Again, starting with my girl, Evelyn Warren, who is the one who texted me or emailed me, I can't remember at the time, and gave me all of your numbers and the Zoom room number and all of that, to call in and to listen to Dr. Ruby Lathan. And oh gosh, I am eternally grateful, Evelyn, for the shout out for that. And I want to say a little bit about Evelyn too. Evelyn is a wellness warrior. She has done a lot in her life to make major changes, not only in her health, but also in the health of her family. Evelyn, too, was a guest on our show, Sandy Rogers, and my show called Now What? Where Do I Go From Here? Along with Tom. And we had an opportunity to get to know not only Evelyn, but get to know her kitchen organizational skills. This woman can whip up meals for her family for a week, all 7 days, maybe like 2 meals a day in less than maybe 4 or 5 hours. And she's something to behold. So I just want to say thank you, Evelyn. Also, a little sideline, Sugar. I got my bowl, my wooden bowl, and I got my knife. And I am, girl, yeah, I'm chopping away. So anyway, we'll talk about that later. And so I also have with me this evening 2 of my wellness partners, Reverend Sandy Rogers and Miss Tanya DeRoy. How you say it? She ain't, her thing is off. Anyway, Miss Tanya Dura. I'm sorry, baby. And we're missing one, but it is after almost 9:30 here in the East Coast. But I will introduce you and we'll talk a little bit more about these 2 young ladies that are here with me this evening. So let's just get right on to it. At one time, I know it's hard to believe. I just know it's hard to believe looking at me right now. But at one time, I was pretty doggone unhealthy. Point blank, period. I was carrying around more weight than I wanted to. And I've always been very confident in myself. So it wasn't about me feeling ugly or obese like I was, because I knew how to dress. So even though I didn't have that many clothes, the few clothes I had, I knew what to do with them. And so I wanted to lose weight, but I guess now looking back on it, I just didn't know how. I wanted to do better in my eating, but it's taken all these decades to look back and know I just didn't know how. And the reason why I didn't know how was because no one ever taught me, because quiet as kept, nobody ever knew. So I just followed the same guidelines and behaviors that the people did that I saw. I ate the same way everybody else ate. So I couldn't figure out why was it I didn't look like everybody else. And as my life continued on, I realized one of the reasons why I didn't look the way everybody else did was because I ate more than everybody did. For some reason, once, I got started eating, I just didn't know how to stop. And I don't think I was as bad as some of these people that you see on, like, The Biggest Loser and that kind of thing, when they think about food all day long. While they're eating breakfast, they're thinking what they're going to have for lunch. And while they're eating lunch, they're thinking about what they're going to have for dinner. I wasn't that. I didn't get to that state. But I ate late at night, and then I found out that the food was just my companion. It was my company. So all of this started when I was a teenager. My mother, I had a single parent mother. My father had died, and my mother was raising me by herself. And she worked in the evenings. And I was a very responsible child. I did what my mother told me to do. Didn't have any friends over or whatever and all that kind of stuff. But my friends were my food. And especially on Friday night, you know, when the wrestling would come on. Anybody remember Shag Thomas, you guys? Remember Shag Thomas, the wrestler? I'm talking to Portland people, so anyway. Yeah, all right, Evelyn, right. So every Friday night, just before the wrestling would come on, I think the wrestling came on either at 9 or 10 at night, I would go in the kitchen. I would get me out a 5-pound bag of potatoes. I would peel those babies and I would cut them just perfect. And I'd fry up a big, big bowl of French fries. And I would have my big bowl of ketchup with hot sauce in it. And me and that bowl of French fries and ketchup and Shag Thomas, we rocked it all Saturday, all Friday night until my mother came home. Well, little did I know, but I found out later that I was addicted to potatoes. And the addiction came in the form of didn't know how to stop eating it. That's how come I had like a big, you see how big this, a big bowl of French fries. So we're gonna fast forward on to my young adult life. Same kind of scenario. I just couldn't stop eating certain kind of foods. And it wasn't until one day when I was a young adult and was listening to television, because I can't think of the man's name, Phil Donahue. And they had a woman on who had lost 350 pounds. And she, when I went in to see what she looked like, she was broomstick thin. I'm like, wow, she lost 350 pounds. One of the things that really caught my ear is that she was a confessed carbohydrate addict. And she started talking about what carbohydrates were. And then all of a sudden the light bulb came on for me, because I had kind of discovered if I'd skip breakfast and would just go straight to lunch, I could control my eating. But any day that I ate breakfast, it was a eating marathon. I mean, I was constantly putting something in my mouth. I was nibbling, I was snacking, you know, and I just didn't know how to eat a little bit and stop. And so I decided, because, hey, you know what breakfast is, okay? In my neighborhood, you got the grits, you got the juice, you got the toast, you got you got the cereal, whether it be cooked cereal or dry cereal, all those are carbohydrates. And I then became a self-proclaimed carbohydrate addict. So I stopped eating that kind of stuff. And I was able to control not only the amount of food that I ate, but also overeating and continuously snacking. So in my older age of wisdom, television has been my college instructor. It's taught me everything that I need to know about life, and it still does. I am a YouTube University student. I get all my wisdom on YouTube. And I hope to be getting my doctorate degree one day soon, because, you know, I am learning and learning. But we're just going to fast forward to Star, who she is, who she was, and who she is growing to be. So for all of you people out there that are going to help me to get back to my slides, do you see, how do I share my, oh, okay, let's do this. I am sharing the screen with you, right? Or no?
Drag the mouse to the bottom and click on the green share screen button.
And then I hit share up here.
There you go.
You are so good. Okay. So again, I'll introduce myself in case those that weren't here didn't hear. My name is Star Waters. And in my life, with all of my learnings and teachings and absorbing, I am an holistic wellness coach and a food advocate. And so if you're wondering what both of those titles mean, well, let's just start off with the holistic wellness coach. I was able to start off as a weight loss coach when I started losing weight. And other people saw, because they saw I was pretty rotund and now I was slimming down. So they wanted to know how they too could lose weight. And I started doing wellness coaching. And then I got very interested in the holistic side of wellness. And along the way, because I've been so intrigued with food and how seemingly I was the only person in the world that had no control over my eating, I started really delving into what I have a lecture called Once Past the Lips. And just from developing that lesson, I've learned so much about food and food addiction. Okay. So today we are going to talk about the healing benefits of raw food and the visible results God's groceries manifest in our body. So let me clarify what raw food is, because the first time that I heard that terminology was at an invitation to go to a raw food festival that was held in Portland, Oregon, in Milwaukee, Oregon. And the vision that I had when raw food came up was I could just see people sitting around holding raw steaks in their hand and eating the bloody steaks raw. Well, I didn't want no part of that. Okay. But then no, somebody said, no, that's not it. No, like raw fruits and vegetables. So this calmness just kind of came down over me. And it's like, okay. So the really interesting part about this story is that not only did I get one invitation, but in a week, I got 3 invitations to find out more about raw food. One came from Detroit, Michigan, a girlfriend. And if not that same day, maybe the next day, came from a girlfriend in Richmond, Virginia. And then the third was of a young lady that was hammering flyers on a telephone pole announcing that an international raw food festival was going to happen in Portland, like that weekend. And so I thought, well, when I get messages in 3s, that means you got to do this. This is meant for you. So I borrowed sleeping bags and I borrowed a tent and I borrowed all that kind of outside stuff because it was kind of like camping out, And I went out to Milwaukee, Oregon, and I camped out for 4 days. And I met some of the most incredible people that I absolutely didn't know who they were. I actually didn't know who they were until about 6 months to a year later, when I started really delving more into the raw world and go, holy cow, I spent all that time with David Avocado, forgot his name now. Anyway, all those people and the raw family. And I was really very impressed by this lady by the name of Brenda Cobb out of Atlanta that had a healing facility called the Living Foods Institute that I absolutely wanted to go to and see if I could get my diabetes, reversed. Because I think that was the first time I heard that, because I have been told by many, many, many health people that diabetes could not be cured. And so after you hear something so many times, you just, take it for granted and say, yeah, that's it. Well, now here this lady was talking about it could be And she used the word reversed. So I was intrigued. So anyway, that was the beginning. And after the fourth day, when it was closing, we were encouraged and challenged to do a 30-day raw food challenge. And I thought, well, yeah, why not? I'll do it. 6 days into it, even though it was a challenge and it was somewhat of a struggle, because I'm used to cooking my food and I'm used to planning ingredients that make up a dish. But instead of me making up a raw food dish, I made up a plate full of raw food pals. And I did them in threes. So the first couple of days, I might have had a pal of broccoli, and then a pal of carrots, and then a pal of something else that was raw. I'm very good at pretending. I'm an only child. I played by myself all the time, and I pretended. So I pretended like, good. And I thought if I keep telling myself, good. Anyway, but I did it. I did this. I did these 3 pals on my plate for at least 2 meals a day for about maybe 10 days. But then I got to thinking, so what can I make from raw vegetables that would look like a raw dish? What is one of my favorite dishes? And spaghetti came up because I love me some spaghetti. So I got to thinking, so what would be the noodles? Okay. How about bean sprouts? So I put bean sprouts down as my ingredient. And then I went to the store and I got like a jar of salsa that had the big chunks of tomatoes and bell peppers and onions and all that in. And I put that over my my bean sprouts. I got an avocado. I cut the avocados up in chunks. I put that on the bean sprouts and the salsa. I chopped green onions. I sliced them very, very thin. I had green olives, and what else did I have? I think that was it. And I tossed it all up, and I put a little bit of cayenne on it because I'm a spicy mama. And you know what? I didn't have to pretend. That really was good. It really was. And so I had that 3 days out of the week. And then the other 4 days, I had the pals of raw vegetables. By the time the month was over, I was eating mostly concocted raw dishes that I had created and not that many pals of raw food. And I noticed that my thinking was clearer. I had more energy, and I also was developing a little bit of psychic ability. And let me explain that. So a person, a friend, maybe someone who I hadn't talked to for a while would come up in my mind. And then within seconds, either the phone would ring or the doorbell would ring, and it would be them. After that happened like about 3 or 4 times, and it never happened before, it had to be the eating. So I did continue that on beyond the 30 days, actually for about 6 months. And I got a really good understanding of what eating raw was all about. So, who is this woman? Who is she? You know, I asked that question of actually, the question was asked of me, of my youngest son. I had this woman's picture in my bedroom, and and it was on like a poster board. And so my son came into the room and he looked down, he said, "Who is that?" "Oh, you don't know who that is?" "Uh-uh. You don't know who that woman is?" "No, I don't." "Okay." And I never responded. A couple of days later, I told him it was me. "Get out of here." Let me tell you something. Love is blind. That's the truth. You know, we've heard it before. When somebody loves you unconditionally, they don't see you like everyone else sees you. They see this perfect, beautiful being. My son did not see me as this woman. Well, by this time, I had lost maybe 40, 45 pounds, but he didn't see me as her. Um, and if we could, I would ask everyone listening to the sound of my voice right now to please reach out and give this woman a hug, because she is about 72 hours away from hitting her rock bottom. This woman is me, Star Waters. This outfit that she has on was her New Year's Eve outfit in Rome, Italy, having a wonderful time, drinking Italian wine. We probably had gone someplace early and had some pizza, real Italian pizza, having a wonderful time. When I got on the plane about 2 days later, 3 days later to come home, and took my assigned seat in the coach area, I went to fasten my seatbelt, and the seatbelt would not go any further than just the left side, the right side of my body. It was nowhere near going to the other buckle. That had never happened to me before. I didn't know what to do. I was in the aisle seat, the first row next to the lavatories. And I didn't know about seatbelt extenders. So I'll just say that up front. And truly, I'm glad I didn't, because my whole life would probably be different now had I known about a seatbelt extender. So there were two women that sat next to me to my right, and both of these ladies were very petite. They could have gotten a third one just like them to sit in the seat next to me and had room for all three of them. So I'm saying that just so now with all that you're beginning is happening in my head, that I'm feeling very, very rotund now, very rotund next to these very petite young ladies. And shame, I was wearing it all in my body, probably all on my face. The seat belt was up under my armpits, and it was just not resting there. It was clamped down as if it was going to drop. But I absolutely did not want that flight attendant to let everybody on the plane know that my seat belt wasn't fastened. That I would have been mortified. So that one right arm was just almost numb by the time I got to New York City. But this whole time I am saying to myself, you can't put this off, Star. As soon as you get home and get settled, you must take care of yourself. Self-care. You've got to put you first and find out a way to lose some of this weight. When I got to New York and got on the next plane, I was fearful that the seatbelt wasn't going to fit, but that bad boy fit like all the rest of them have fit. Not a problem. But still in the back of my head, I'm still thinking about that one time that it didn't. And the thoughts that came up you know, that next trip you're going to take, you're going to waddle your big fat behind up to the ticket counter, and the lady going to tell you, you got to cough up another ticket fare. And then I'd have known that that trip wouldn't have been taken by me. So when I got on the third plane to come to Portland, Oregon, the seatbelt fit, no problem. Just like all the other seatbelts I've ever tried fit. But I tell you, I thank God for that one seatbelt that did not fit. It changed the course of my life. And as soon as I got back to Portland, I went to Overeaters Anonymous, my very first 12-step program. And at that time, I was instructed to declare and announce as the meeting started, to introduce myself and then say this. Hi, I'm Star, and I'm a food addict. I didn't believe it because, see, here's the thing. Isn't that an oxymoron? How can you be addicted to something that you have to have? I just didn't see it. But I went along with the program. So if you want to make some changes in your life, this is what you must have ingrained in your brain. Until you get your nutrition right, nothing is going to change. Nothing. But here's the question. What does that mean? Because we all have our own interpretations about healthy eating. And if there were 50 people in the Zoom room right here, and we had the time to put the mic up to their mouths and ask them, so what is healthy eating as far as you're concerned? There would be 50 different answers. So what I think we should do is come up with a, like a chart that is pretty general so that we can all look at that chart and at a glance know what we should eat that's healthy. How about you? You think that too? Okay. So does anybody know what this symbol is? And of course, I can't see nobody but 4 people. So, this is not fair. Yes, Evelyn. Okay. And I know other people know too, but they just ain't saying nothing. Trying to make this hard. This is a Sankofa bird. And in African tradition, there's a short story to symbolize this bird. And in this picture, it says, we must go back and reclaim our past so we can move forward. So we understand why and how we came to be who we are today. Well, there is another terminology or meaning that I've grown up with, and that is go back and fetch the ways of your ancestors so that you know how to proceed forward now. So that's the key. That's the answer. But what's the question? I forgot. Oh, the question is, how do we know what's healthy and what's not healthy? How do we all be on the same page? We must stop and mentally go back and fetch the ways of our ancestors. So I'm going to be your tour guide right now, and I'm going to assist you in doing just that. Voila. We're at the beginning. We're at our beginning. We've gone back, we are seeing, and now we're going to fetch the wisdom of our ancestors when they were placed in the garden. Everything that they needed, all the foods that were for their good, whether it was to fill their bellies or if it was to make them feel good, if they somehow were not at the time, their food and their medicine was all around them in the garden. So does that apply for today? Tom, I know that your church has a humongous garden that you all are working on. I see you shaking your head. Yes, okay. And Dr. Reverend Sandy is in the house. She's in the Zoom house with us, and she is a master gardener. So I know she can relate to this. But you all don't know this, but in every post office around the country, in the back, in the corner, in the dark, there's a picture of me because I am a serial plant killer. See these thumbs? They're in disguise. They're actually black. So I would just have to be led to the garden. I couldn't make the garden around me because Miss Sandy's trying to get me out there to have fun with them worms, and I keep giving her a different excuse. But the garden is where we were placed, and everything that we needed for our pleasure and for survival was there in the garden. So let's not forget that when we go back and fetch the ways of our ancestors, let's think about having food aplenty in the garden. And let me tell you something about slides and a slide presentation. And I hope I'm not stepping on nobody's shoes or feet or toes. But you know what? I'm gonna let you all read these slides because one of my pet peeves is to have people read what they done put up there when I'm very capable of reading it myself. So while you all are reading it, then I'll just be chatting away. But this is the plan. This is our plan for eating. And the question is, it's been laid out, it's plain and clear, but the question is, when did it change? Because it's not like that anymore. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. Maybe I'll bring it up now. So when we talk about food and we talk about eating food, today we're actually not talking about food. And if that's confusing you, let me delve a little further in that statement. Most of the time, what we are talking about is food-like substances. They're not food. It's not food. It just looks like food. And it tastes good. So when you see things in the grocery store, you know, like mac and cheese in a box, that's food-like substances. When you go into the grocery store and you just kind of meander over to the bakery department and you see all those delicious looking, well, in the voice of my granny, all those delicious looking cakes and pies and cupcakes and cookies, food-like substances. Not only do they taste good, but they look good. And that's all by design, because the supermarket is in the food selling business. And if they didn't allure you with not only the look and the aromas and all of that, then they wouldn't make their money. So they have to make it as appealing as they possibly could. And I bet you, if you're one of these type of people that make notes for yourself and you put that cake in your in your trolley, as they say over in England, in your shopping cart, I bet you when you look at that list, cake was nowhere on there. So that's one for the team, for the supermarket, because they got you to put something in your cart that you didn't come in there for. But we'll talk about that later too. So we're eating food like substances. And you're probably saying, so what's wrong with that? Well, it'll catch up with you. That's what's wrong with it. So what happened to me after going on the raw food challenge and after it working for me and seeing my body morph into a different star was that I kind of got into it. And now this became my society. This became how I fit in the world, and in my world. Everywhere I went, I stood out like a black sheep because I was different now from everybody. I didn't eat the same way everybody else ate. And, a couple of times, just to get into the socialization of everything, okay, it's so-and-so's birthday. It's Thanksgiving. I was always giving in to what was going on with the masses, which wasn't helping my program, because when I was almost 300 pounds, I still stood out, but in a more unhealthy way. Now I'm beginning to resemble more of society. And I know step by step why, because I made some changes in my eating habits and my lifestyle. And just to be in someone's company for 45 minutes to an hour, I did not want to be thrown off of my lifestyle. So I started then bringing my own food to gatherings, thinking, I'll just excuse myself and kind of go over to a corner or something and eat. But people always found me. They'd come and they look, and sometimes they go, oh, what's that? Or, girl, you brought all this food and all this good food is here. And, they got this. Controversy found me. I was trying not to be in the loop. So then I changed up what I did. I stopped bringing my food and I would eat before I came. Oh, you're not eating? So eventually I just stopped going. Where there was food, I just stopped going. That kept me on my path. We all got to do what we got to do, because the more you insist, I'm on a diet, there's going to be somebody there that's going to wrestle you down, going to put your arms behind. But this is my granny's favorite upside down 7-up cake. The last recipe she left us before she died. You got to have a piece. Or something like that. And so sometimes you just get worn down. You're trying to do the right thing. And you're trying to, socialize. I'm a social being. I love people. I do. But it came down to, do you love them more than you love yourself? I'm just saying. So what happened was, as they say in my neighborhood, what had happened was I was watching Netflix and I was on a diet, and I had promised myself that I was going to remain on this diet for 90 days, 3 months. It wasn't working out, but I promised myself I would, where the food was being delivered to me once a month. And it kind of resembled dog food. They came in little packets and it was real dry. And they did allow you to have some outside food, but the amount that you could have was just insane, like a quarter of a cup. A quarter of a cup? Anyway, some not so good things happened to my body from being on this diet, but like extreme constipation, and it was because I just didn't have like any water in my food. That was one reason. But I was watching Netflix and I was going down the menu and I saw this movie or whatever that was called Now What? Where Do I Go? Oh, excuse me. That's our show. Excuse me. It was called Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead. And it intrigued me. Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead. So I watched it. And about 15 minutes into the show, I heard this very distinct voice that instructed me in these words: this is what you're to do. And it only said it one time, and that was it, but I got it. Okay. The show was about a gentleman that came over from down under. And he came to America to juice fast. And luckily I had a juicer. And so within the next couple of days, I had gotten all of my supplies together and I started juicing. Well, to back up a bit, on that previous diet that I did for almost 90 days, it cost me about $350 for the food, not to mention the food that I bought for myself. And at the end of that time, I lost an incredible 12 pounds. Yeah, 12 whole pounds. I did. $350 worth of food plus my own food, extreme constipation, and I lost 12 pounds. With the juicing, in 3 days, I lost 12 pounds. And I probably spent maybe $35 on the vegetables and the fruit. This gentleman, his name is Joe Cross, he did the juicing for 60 days. And I had given myself permission to do it for 10 days. But I ended up going further than Joe Cross did. I actually did the juice fast for 67 days. And I was so incredibly proud of myself. 67 days without food, without chewing on anything, that was a record for me. And my thoughts was that I would be so weakened that I wouldn't be able to even walk or get up. The opposite. I became like a Murph between Superwoman and Wonder Woman. Everywhere I went, I just kind of ran. And it was what I haven't had that much energy since I was a child. So I stayed on the juice fast for 67 days. And then I drank juice a couple of times a week. And so at that point, and I was doing more raw food prep and everything, then I became Granny Gone Raw. And if you'd like to follow me and see some of the dishes that I do, go on Facebook and come on Granny Gone Raw. And something freaking amazing happened. After the juice fast and after eating raw vegetables and fruit for over a year, I lucked up and found the fountain of youth. It exists. See? It does, it exists. So these are pictures that actually I came across just last week. A girlfriend sent me the picture that's up in the left-hand top corner with the red top on. And it was a picture of she and I. And I looked at it, I was like, oh my God, look how old I look. Oh, well, nobody's going to see this. And then as I was going through pictures to find for this presentation, I saw this picture of me just 4 years ago that looked even old. Oh. Pictures don't lie. The picture in the brown was taken in the summer, this summer here. And I look younger than I did 12 years ago. So see, I found the fountain of youth. I am reversing or aging in reverse. I'm not bragging. I'm just saying. See. And you can too. It just doesn't apply to me. It applies to any and everyone that eats raw vegetables and fruit. And let me tell you why that happens. It happens because, first of all, of the enzymes that we find in raw fruits and vegetables, the minerals, and the agents that's in that those foods that gives us the ability to fight off inflammation. Inflammation is the foundation, the glue to all diseases. Without inflammation in your body, there's no way you can be sick. Illnesses will not stay with you. And Tom, you mentioned earlier about the COVID era that we're in now. When you build your immunity, when you eat anti-inflammatory foods, there's no way that your body is going to get those viruses. You're not, because there's not any type of magnetism in your body that's going to keep that going on, that's ill. It will just pass you by. So I ain't scared. I eat plants. And you should too. So this was me back
10
in
p.m.
This was me back in June. I just had energy galore. One day, I decided that I was going to jog 27 minutes straight. Probably for some of you that, what's so big about that? But that wasn't me. I mean, I was getting my jogging back again, and I was doing it like 5 minutes at a time. So then the next week I'd do 6 minutes, but I thought I'm just gonna just do 27 minutes. And I did. And on top of that, I walked along with the jogging 22,000 steps. I just want to make sure you see this because I'm kind of proud of it. In one day, this chick right here, you can see how it took a toll on me physically, but but then in just a few minutes, I look like this, calm, collected, rested, So this is the benefit of raw food. Thank you, girl. Raw food eating. Okay. How am I doing on time? Am I doing okay? Just.
Yes,
We're at 7, so we probably ought to be winding up the presentation and open up for questions. So when.
Okay, so you gonna give me 5 more minutes?
Absolutely.
Okay, that's good. I like working with you. Okay, so if I were you, and this is the first time about hearing about raw food in this kind of time limit, I'd probably be wondering, well, what do you eat? Okay, I heard about the bean sprouts and all that kind of stuff, but what else do you eat? And will my family eat it? See, that's the most important thing. It's one thing for you to prepare it, but will your family eat it? Probably not. Probably not. Not at first, but they will eventually. So this is a burger that I made one day, and I invited a couple of friends over. This right here, let's see. This right here is the burger, and it's made out of zucchini and summer squash and onions and garlic and, oh gosh, I don't know what else, but all vegetables. And I did it in my dehydrator. And these are all the fixings that I built my burger with. And these are 2 burgers that I had made for my guests. And I think they liked it. Okay. And then here's another burger. This is an Impossible Burger. And when I showed you the picture of the burger that I made in the dehydrator of all vegetables, I think probably if I'd have had like an ingredient list, on those pictures, it would have been maybe like about no more than 10 things in it. Look what all is in the ingredients of the Impossible Burger. A lot. They're chemicals. They're chemicals. And over here, it talks about an agent called heme. And heme is that element that they put in the Impossible Burger to make it bleed. So when you put it in the frying pan and it heats up, and then, little red things start oozing up out of it like blood. Authentic, huh? Chemicals. We have our minds on the wrong things. We're way past. We're so deep down the rabbit hole as far as counting calories. We got to count the chemicals. Okay, the chemicals. That's part of that inflammation that's in our body. That's part of that magnet that's drawing diseases to us. So count chemicals, not calories. Okay, hold on. And the number 1 chemical, you guessed it, sugar. But they have gotten so slick with it, 58 different names for sugar, because they know we're getting wise and crafty. And so I will probably end here, maybe. And it's something that we all want. Everybody, they just say, give it to me. Give it to me. And there was one line in the movie that said, the truth, you can't handle the truth. And most of us can't even swallow it. So I think my 5 minutes is up. I certainly have more to give you, but I did too much talking about myself. So I give it back to you, Tom and Derek.
Well, I don't think you did too much talking about yourself. Derek and I have been commenting on your presentation. We have thoroughly enjoyed your presentation, and
thank you.
We have learned a lot, especially from looking at it from a raw point of view. This is you picked a good niche that we needed to have filled, and Star, we thank you for that. And
my pleasure.
It is now, we would now like to open it up for questions. Anyone have a question of Star, just please unmute and we'll start with that. If it gets out of hand, we will come up with another system. But let's just go unmute yourself and ask a question.
Go ahead and share with
I
us,
have a-
Star, if you
Oh.
would, your favorite vegetables for juicy.
Cucumbers. And I'll tell you why. It's because you get a lot of liquid out of cucumbers.
That's where we are.
I have a question. Oh,
Yes.
That's where we at.
Yeah.
If Star could click at the top of your screen and quit sharing your presentation, we could see each other.
Okay,
There
cool.
we
Cool. Cool, cool. And then that way I don't have to look this way. So now you can see a frontal view of my face.
Look. So we got it.
I wanted to, my name is Jafina Starr, and I enjoyed your presentation, but I was wondering, what did you use for the bread? Was the bread raw when you made your sandwich?
That was the only part of the sandwich that was not raw. It was
Okay,
it was Ezekiel hamburger bun.
okay.
And Ezekiel, I think it's Ezekiel.
Ezekiel bread, yeah,
Yeah, it's one of the best breads. Yes.
right. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
One of the questions I had, Star, on your juicing, are you making smoothies or are you removing the fiber?
At that particular time, I was removing the fiber. And let me tell you the difference between juicing and doing smoothies. Okay, so when you are detoxifying your body, you want to make sure that your body is in the cleansing state.
Mhm.
And in order to be fully in the cleansing state, there can be no fiber whatsoever going into your system.
Yeah.
So that your body can, instead of digesting food, it can use that energy to cleanse the toxins out of your body. And so for 67 days, my body was a toxin cleansing machine.
Derek, I like to ask you a question. You don't have to answer them if it's too personal. But I looked.
No, I didn't get any marriage proposals during that time, no.
I want to say, like Tom, we were discussing your presentation, and I like it because it's raw and it's honest and it's true, and which a lot of us find ourselves in that very same situation, that we know about health, we talk about health, we eat kind of right, but you put it down from a point of view that, hey, I'm at the bottom here and I want to come up. And that's true and that's honest. And we have to see ourselves just like that. We have to see ourselves, I'm making a mess of me, nobody else. And I have to do this for me. And another thing I want to ask you, I saw your pictures. I mean, Star, I want to ask you, how old are you? You know, because I saw the difference, and I know people want to see the same result. And when you said you found the fountain of youth, God gave it to us. It's right from the garden. And
That's
all
right.
we have to do is apply it to our daily living, and we too can have the fountain of youth. And not only that, but we don't never have to be sick. And not only that, COVID-19 don't scare us like it might scare others.
That's
You
right.
see, because we're doing what God has asked of us. The garden, it was in Eden. The garden was what God put together. And nobody knows what's best for you than God. And so all we have to do is follow God's technique and keep on living. Because he
Absolutely.
created Adam and Eve, he created them to live forever. He
Yes.
didn't create them to die, but after the fall, that was a different thing. But he still, in his word, tell us that these fruits and vegetables is our medicine, is our healing, is all that we need. And we begin, and I want to tell you what I do like. You're right. People are counting calories and they're not counting chemicals.
Yes.
And we need to, and the key about that, you won't have to count nothing if you go to the produce section anyway.
No labels.
No labels. You see what I'm saying? And we got
What
to
you
grow
see is
up.
what you get. Mhm.
That's right. So if we grow up and apply what God say, and our refrigerators won't be full, but for one thing, just to keep the vegetables fresh.
Absolutely.
You see? And so, and another thing you said, how much you paid $300 for this situation. And then when you went on the raw, it was 30-something. People always want to say it costs a lot to be a vegetarian or a vegan. No, it's the best way to go. You can get a cabbage and a few other vegetables and it'll last you a whole week.
Yeah.
You see? So, I really appreciate your presentation to tell us the honest truth. And not only tell us the truth, you showed us the evidence of that. But you still didn't say how old you was. You don't have to.
72.
Oh, see, that's wonderful. I got to tell you, Star. That's wonderful. And I'm glad to have you, and I know Tom is too, and the audience as well, to present your presentation tonight.
Thank you.
Even though you said, how can you make it better than some of the others that came before you? This is just what we needed. God knows what we need.
Wow.
And your presentation was just what we needed. Right. And a lot of us that's online with you, we've heard a lot of things, but we never got it so raw. Where a person came out and said it this way and showed us the evidence. And I appreciate that. And I know Tom and these people that's on the line, they appreciate it too. So I just want to congratulate you that you did a superb job in explaining, taking detail, and showing us what changed your life. And that's what we all need.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Derek. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Star, you are a rock star, Star.
Thank you, my girl. Thank you.
And thank you so much for the information. Really, the counting calories and the counting chemicals really resonated with me. Yeah. And I try to tell a lot of people to read the labels, read what it says. And when you don't know something, you can Google it right there. They have apps that you can scan now, products, and go into your phone and it'll show you the list of ingredients that are not good for you. So we need to really educate ourselves.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I need to say this too, is that, through Christ, we can do all things. He has our back, but we don't utilize all the tools that he has given us because we're sick and we're tired. We don't want to work out. We have brain fog. We have this and that going on. When all we have to do is change to a plant-based diet, emphasis on eating a lot more raw, if not 100% raw, that can help change those conditions up. So thank you so much again for all of your words of wisdom. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I'm just so happy that you're here because I wouldn't be had you not introduced me to this wonderful community. And,
we work together to educate the fold, right?
Yes,
and so we all have to do our part in order to help others. And you are an example of somebody who's always willing to help someone. Sandy is too. We just think, and Tom, most definitely. I'm sorry, Derek, I don't know you, but hi. But you guys are all rock stars. So we appreciate each and every one of you.
Well, thank you, Evelyn. Thank you very much. Yeah. I receive everything you've given me, all of you.
Thank you.
I I have a comment I just wanted to make too, and thank you, Star, for that. Also, what resonated to me was, count the chemicals and not the calories, because if you're really eating a healthy diet with lots of vegetables and fruits, you're going to be experiencing the benefits of learning how to make 72 look like 60. I'm
Wow.
just saying, it's a testimony. And I identify with the struggle with food and, dealing with addictions like sugar, etc. And I went about 14 days. The first 2 days off of sugar, I thought I was going to bite somebody. But it really made a difference once I started eating all the vegetables and I already knew, I just didn't realize I wasn't eating enough vegetables. And it makes a difference on a daily basis when I eat more vegetables than less vegetables, because the body is going to crave what you're giving it on a daily basis. So, yeah, so I appreciate your testimony, and just keep on doing what you're doing. And I thank you for the encouragement.
Oh, thank you so much, Catherine. I appreciate you saying that. Helps me to know that what I know is not going to be thrown to swines, like throwing pearls to swines, you know.
No, you have a receptive audience.
Well, I knew that. I see, here's the thing is that I know who you guys are. You just didn't know that I knew who you were. I know that I'm dealing with a very well known community, that of the Blue Zone. You all are part of the Blue Zone. And so if I can't be understood and accepted here, well, there's no chance of me being understood or accepted anyplace else. So I'm honored to be in your presence, Blue Zoners.
We're striving for that. Are there any more questions? Well, I have another question.
Okay, Tom.
Going back to the original diet and considering COVID, I want to ask you a question. Would God have made a mistake in creation if there was a virus today that could eliminate us all if we had followed his diet?
Okay, so I'm trying to follow the question. So if we'd have stayed in the garden concept of thinking and being and doing, and if there was a virus that would wipe us all out, am I going okay with that now?
Could there be a virus that would wipe us out?
I don't think there would, because this virus right here is man-made. It is. It's man-made, and that's okay. You don't have to agree with me. But it was man-made specifically to attack these pre-existing health conditions that poor people have. And poor people have it because of their choice in how they feed their bodies. They have high pressure.
I'm sorry. To me, isn't it like the consumption of meat?
Yes.
Number one, these are all of our diseases, the swine flu. I mean, all those flus, even flus, all that's brought on by animals.
Yes.
So therefore, if we were in the garden when the beauty of all the fruit, well, we're not eating animals. We're loving them and help raising them. So therefore, it would be no COVID.
Yeah.
Right? It would be no COVID.
Or even if our body could fight it.
It would totally fight it, because we would have all of the live food and the nutrients and the quality of life we need, that our bodies would just, fight it off. We probably wouldn't even whimper. We probably wouldn't even sneeze.
Well, that's a good question what Tom asked. And we know that it's the enemy that done this through human beings. And so it's also the love of Jesus that's given us the victory for human beings by following his prescription, you see. And his prescription is in the garden. Follow that. And we know all the diseases, whatever they may be, wherever they come from, it's the devil that produced them. And he used man to do it. But nevertheless, God is going to have a people that's going to get the victory by just simply doing what Evelyn said, just eating the right way, building your immune system, keeping your level of what I'm trying to say, keeping
your consistency of
yeah,
what you do.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. But you want to do all the right things, and so when something comes to your door, it can't come in.
That's right.
You see, because you're doing the right thing. Your pH level is up to protect you. Your immune system is up to protect you. You see, so these are the things that we know that we ought to be applying to our life daily and doing, like you say, consistent, persistent. And you don't have to fret. The Bible says, fret not thyself over evildoers. You see, so we don't have to fret. We're doing what God told us to do. And those that are weak and haven't been doing it, we have you on to help encourage them. And that's what you did. And that's what we're looking for in touch of help. We're all trying to, like she said earlier, do all we can together to help people come into the knowledge of the truth and taking care of their bodies. And most of all, making the right choice. See, Eve decided not to listen to God. She listened to the enemy. And so we can't do that. We got to listen to what God said and make choices. She made the wrong choice and didn't obey God. We're going to obey him. He told us that healing medicine is for us, but it's in the garden. And so that's what we want to do. And having Star on help awaken a lot of us to say, hey, let's get back to the plan. And God is not going to condemn you. He's not going to hurt you. He just said, get back to where you know is right. And that's all we got to do. And you can live. You can get rid of the arthritis. You can get rid of a bunch of man-made stuff. Even you made it by making the wrong choice yourself. But God will bless you.
So I have a question, Star.
Yes.
Because my cousin was a nurse, and she was telling me that we should be, introducing a lot of vitamin C and zinc on top of the vegetables for those who were not eating correctly, that's trying to turn things around. So we did a family Zoom call, and she was saying that you need to increase your vegetables to 6 to 8 times, even more a day. And you need to include things like high doses of vitamin C, and you need to eat zinc, and you need to eat some potatoes, and you need to, so you really need to eat a huge variety. So with that said, what do you recommend for this call, and what people should eat, and people who have not been eating well, but they need to now, they're behind the 8 ball, so they don't want to catch COVID. They want to be prepared if they do. So what do you recommend that people do moving forward?
Anything better than what they've been doing. I mean, if that's the gun that goes off at the beginning of the race for them, then let that happen. As long as they're not doing what they were doing, there are people who they're doing the vegetables, But then when you talk to them, they're doing the vegetables the way they've always done it, with all this seasoning meat in it and all that kind of stuff. And then there's one thing that we as people of the sun have done for, generations and generations, that is where we cook our vegetables to death. I mean, you can put a pot of greens on and 3 days later you're serving it, I mean, they call themselves making it tender, but really what it's doing is it's creating those greens to be poison, because the longer that you cook the food, it turns into sugar. And really there's no nutrients in the greens. You could just throw the greens out and drink what they call the pot liquor. That's where all the minerals and everything is. So I wouldn't down anybody if they're doing something different than what they were doing. I mean, look, I started with piles of raw vegetables on my plate. And from there, I grew. So allow people to come into their own knowing by trying different things. But I would say, if you're starting off, just skip the minimal stuff and go straight to raw. That's where you got all of your enzymes. That's where you got all your minerals and vitamins and all of that. And you eat less. I eat so much less now because my body is recognizing, ooh, food's coming down. But when you're sending that crazy stuff, that's food-like stuff, 5 minutes later, feed me. But you just ate, feed me, because the body did not recognize it as food. And that's why we're overweight, because we're not giving it any nutrition. We're giving it food-like substances.
May I interject?
Yes, ma'am.
It's an interesting thing that you said. And
Introduce yourself.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Tanya Dura, Star's partner, Sandy's partner, and we are part of, with one more member, we are part of Sisters Who Speak Wellness. And just to piggyback off of what Star said, and to address the question that you asked, Evelyn, in my training as a certified health coach, one of the things that we learned, and just like God has done with us, he takes us where we are. We have to do that same thing, especially with a health ministry and preaching, if you will, to people about the benefits of health. We have to take people where they are and teach them where they are. And so part of my training, one of the things that I was taught was something that we call crowding in, because a lot of times I am not a raw foodist, but my family and I have been on a plant-based diet since before my children were born. And so, but I tell people all the time, I'm born and raised in Atlanta. I'm not country, but I'm very Southern. So I grew up eating what everyone else in the South ate. But the thing about it is, it's easy to tell someone, hey, just eat this way and it'll be better for you. But again, we have to meet people where they are. So, one of the things that I was taught was to help people, or to teach people to crowd in what's good. And the more they crowd in what's good, the more they'll crowd out what's not. So that being the case, if they do eat, chicken, pork, beef, whatever they eat, and lots of, starchy carbs that aren't necessarily, like Stars share, that aren't the best for you, you want to just say, hey, it's okay if you eat that, but why don't you add an extra serving of salad to your plate? And each time that they add an extra serving of salad to their plate, they're going to get more full, because they're going to get more fiber from the greens. And so they're not going to be they're going to be so full that they're not going to have as much room for that animal protein. So now they're going to start doing what? Crowding it out. And over a period of time of constantly crowding in more servings of vegetables, before they know it, they will have crowded out the animal protein. And so that's a way to like really talk to people about incorporating more, raw, more vegetables into their diet. Just meet them where they are and just help them crowd it in and crowd it out.
Hey, you guys, I'm Sandy Rogers, and I'm another one of the team members and Star's co-host on a weekly radio program called Now What? Where Do I Go From Here? And what I wanted to address is that I agree with Catherine and with Evelyn in regard to the counting the chemicals, because that's very important. And there's research that's being done that shows that the foods, especially women, the foods that we're eating is actually disrupting our physiology. And so generation to generation, these chemicals that we can't pronounce, we don't know what they are, but we eat them like, they're candy or something, but they're disrupting the genes and the DNA of generations yet to come. And then someone was asking about, I think it was Evelyn. Hey, Evelyn, was asking about the vitamins and what do you tell people? I would like for us to take another look at food in the regard that God created the fruits, the vegetables, the nuts, the seeds that has everything in its right proportion. Man took loose the vitamin A and the vitamin B and C and D, and man is saying, this is what you need to eat. And I mean, this is how much you need of these particular vitamins. But they don't tell you, like with vitamin C, you gotta have magnesium in order for it to work properly in your system. Otherwise, you're spending money on these supplements and you're flushing them right out the toilet because they're not doing anything for you if you don't mix them with what God has already created to benefit our bodies the best. So to get what you need, eat God's food.
Right. Right.
What you call it, Sandy? God's groceries.
God's groceries. Yes, ma'am.
That's it, exactly. That's right. The only reason I ever started with supplementation is when we were more involved with seasonal and stored vegetables. Today, our vegetables come from around the world, and they're here within a week. It didn't used to be that way. So especially as your water-soluble vitamins and minerals would leak out in the storage process, and that's why we supplemented when I had cattle. But today's situation, especially in human nutrition, it's a totally different picture. And I'd agree with you completely, Sandy, even though I do take a multivitamin organic food or plant-based. And so that's just old habits. But you're right. We eat the right food. There's no reason to do it.
Well, at the same time, we do need to be knowledgeable and know that there are companies out there that are taking away the life of these foods that we do eat, and they aren't what they're supposed to be. Even though they're growing, God said, give the earth rest for 7 years. Don't strip it down, and today they just planting over. So the nutrition is not really up to ultimate performance that we need. Like she said, when God created all this, it was loaded down with everything. Even though today we do know that it's right to eat out of God's grocery store, which is the produce. But there are times that I take supplements to make up the difference. I love vegetables. I eat them. I don't have no problem with that. But I'm also sharp enough to know that a lot of times I do need zinc. I need enough zinc as a man, and I'll take a supplement, a natural supplement. But I eat good, you know, and as long as I'm functioning at a premium, don't, because I'm not coming up with these words fast enough. Don't think I ain't coming up. I've been eating a bunch of stuff, but I'm trying to get my words right. But anyway, I would take some plant-based herbs or something like that. But I also can take it in herb form and tea form or some other form. But the most important thing is to try my best to eat like God asked me to eat, to take care of this body. You know, I think I might be a little off if I say don't take the supplements because of whatever reason. You might be because your geographic location may not have the premium food that you need, but you do your best and you pray. That's why prayer is so important, that we pray over our food. And we pray and we ask God to give what we don't have and take away what we may have gotten in our food and do our best. When you do your best, God can bless you. That's what God is asking all of us to do. Just do your best and I'll help you. But you got to do it God's way because there's no other way that's right than God's way, you know. And Tom and I started to touch a health ministry to educate people, to bring people on, to help our people, especially the people of color, you know.
Yeah, because we need help.
At least you accept pale faces like me.
Yes, right.
Well, you know, but see, after so long, you just kind of grandfathered in as one of the tribes. So we got to treat you, we got to treat you like we treat us.
Yeah, that's right. And he's truly one of the nicest brothers you can find. I thank God for him, for how he and I really want to work for God. And like you all, you got to stand up today and do that. Whatever your hands find to do for the Lord, do it with all you got, you know. And this is what he and I love to do, is to bring people on like Star and other speakers to educate us. And so keep us in your prayers. And we need that. And so I'm going to be quiet. So go ahead, Star, finish whatever you want to say, Evelyn, Star, or Sandy.
I just have one other thing, Derek. I wasn't, it was not my intention to say not to take supplements, just that we have a better understanding that when we eat God's groceries, it's all in there that's going to benefit our body the best.
That's
so
right.
That was the point.
Okay, and I apologize if I said it make you feel that way. I love you.
Oh, no. I just wanted to clear that up, you know, because
well,
I didn't want anybody to say that I said don't take the supplement.
No, we didn't take that like that. But I was just trying to say, you're right. We have to eat God's groceries. That's the bottom line. But I'm saying what I do, you know, to help myself at times, because I can go down to some geographic location and they don't have what I need as far as vegetables. And I may need a little bit more iron or something else. So some turmeric or something like that, you know. So I'll take that, you know. Turmeric powder ain't, that's not going to kill you. You see, that's going to be a blessing for inflammation or anything that may try to attack the body. So that's what I mean. I ain't saying go out and buy all the supplements in the store, because that's not right. You know, just eating from God's groceries is the best thing.
Now, while we're talking about natural stuff, what about natural soap you wash your face with, and natural toothpaste, and natural deodorant? What do you recommend there?
Well, they do have those things. Go ahead, Star. It's your program. You want to say something? I'm not going to say it.
Okay, so I try to use as close to natural products like that that I can. I actually don't put any soap on my face whatsoever. I just wash it, you know, with a little bit of a cleanser that I get from Mary Kay. My Mary Kay agent has the most beautiful skin in the world. And I don't even do that every day. I just usually do, I have a little scrubber and just use just plain water. I use deodorant that doesn't have any aluminum in it. And, and working on jobs that I've worked on for the last, you know, gosh, 50 years, they don't like for you to wear perfume. So I don't even use any kind of fragrance or anything. I'm just straight up Star. So that's what I do. And it saves money too, you know. Yeah.
How
So
about toothpaste?
Go ahead, Steve.
Toothpaste?
yeah, I
Well,
use, oh, who are you talking to? I'm sorry.
He's
Star.
talking to you, Star.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I use toothpaste because I'm a social person and I don't want nobody to say, "Woo, what? Okay. Uh-huh. Oh, okay, girl." So, yeah.
What brand? What brand? What kind?
I think it's Desert somebody, Desert Sand or something. I kind of switch up. I was using a toothpaste that I had gotten like about 5 different little jars for there in Washington, Oregon, some food place, and I've run out. So the next time I come, I gotta get me some. But I love it. It's called toothpaste, and it's in a little jar. Um, and I love it because it's you know it's got a little bit of scratch to it or whatever, and my teeth just really feel clean once I'm done with it.
Was that
So
at like Trader Joe's or Natural Grocers or?
Natural Grocers, yes, 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 that's where I got it from, Natural Grocers, and I love it. It's only $5, but they want almost $20 for it in Amazon. It's like, I'll wait till I get back to Portland.
I have another question, especially along those lines. Steve, are you okay? First of all, I was going to go back to your raw eating. Do you use any oil in that or not?
I'm SO. I'm salt, no, I'm sugar free, oil free. I
Oil free.
tried, yeah, I tried to be SOS, sugar, salt, oil. But when I'm cooking food, I got to have a little bit of salt in it when I'm cooking. Now I'm almost totally salt free with being raw. I don't put any salt on it. I may put a little bit of salt in maybe some of my salad dressings, some of them, but that's it. But I don't use oil now. I pretty much have gotten off of oil, and I'm keeping my weight down. So there are things that I know that work, and one of those things is no oil and no restaurant eating, because I don't know what they put in the food in the restaurants. They put in everything that I don't use: salt, sugar, you know, oil galore.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and then that's interesting too, because the oil is associated with so much heart disease and diabetes, and so getting rid of the oil is eliminating those two conditions that are so prevalent in our society.
yeah, my ex-son-in-law, not even 2 weeks ago, um, succumbed to a stroke and a heart attack at the same time. And he ate fish, but I'm sure he ate oil. I didn't prepare food for him, but I'm sure he was about as typical as most people are. And we just don't really realize the danger that oil presents to our bodies with the clogged arteries. And that was one of the slides that I had that I didn't get a chance to talk about for men's health.
Well, we'll
Yeah.
get you back, Star. Don't you coming back now. Don't worry about that. You're gonna get a chance to share that. Okay?
Good. Okay, because I had some good slides that were still left. Yeah.
All right. We're gonna get you.
But what I do want to do before my time is up is I would like to, because the email that Tom sent out to everyone spoke about the Sisters Speak Wellness webinar. And I did want, and I'm glad my two cohorts are here with me. I did want us to put in a shameless plug, because what you got from me tonight is just really the tip of the iceberg, so to speak, of what this amazing team that God has put together with the four of us ladies. And we not only will be talking about raw food from a Star Waters perspective, but we'll be talking about reversing diabetes and, oh gosh, Sandy, what was that you had?
Detoxing.
Yeah, I'll be talking about detoxing and
Okay.
how precious our colon is and how to properly take care of our body. That's where it all starts, you know. So most of us are walking around constipated, even though we're having a daily bowel movement. So I'm going to dig a little bit further into that. And the chronic constipation that the medications cause for us. We're going to be talking about, I've had situations where I'm just swole like this from eating certain foods, and we're going to talk about food allergies. The 4 pillars, Tanya's going to talk about that. You want to go, Tanya?
Yeah, sure. So I'll be talking about the 4 pillars of health, which, you know, for most people, just I'm a kind of keep it simple kind of girl, and you know, I definitely believe in supporting people where they are. And for most of us, there are 4 basic habits that if we master these habits, that they will help us to live optimally in our health. And these 4 basic habits have to do with um, managing our stress levels and everything that comes along with that. Movement, which is so important, especially as we get older, and a lot of us just don't move. Then of course there's always nutrition. You know, what can, proper nutrition, and what are the foods that we can eat that help to like nourish, you know, our cells, and you know, all the different elements of our bodies and our organs, so that again, you know, we aren't subject to the chronic illnesses that plague, especially the African American community, but also that are, you know, pandemic within itself in this country. And then lastly, I'll be talking about a habit that is really the most underrated habit that most people are in a detriment of, and that's sleep. Sleep or lack thereof affects our health in so many different ways that people don't even imagine. But those are the 4, like I said, the foundation of health. And so when that foundation is laid and laid properly, now, you know, people have something to stand on to build optimal health. And so I'll be talking and going deeper into that element. And then our partner, who's not here with us today, our wellness rock star, Carla DeRosa, she'll be talking more about waste in and waste loss. So like the in your body and how it affects weight loss. Because, you know, again, obesity is huge in this country, huge. And so she'll be talking about, especially, you know, for those of us that are a little bit older, um, talking about what are the things that are sabotaging us, that stop us from, you know, releasing weight naturally, because there are ways to release weight naturally without us having to, like, you know, do these insane workouts or be on a very, very restrictive diets that really aren't helpful for us anyway. So she'll be really getting into depth about that, and sharing her own story and personal journey with that as it relates to gut health. So those are some of the things that we'll be talking about and addressing in our wellness series. So we're excited, and definitely invite you and your congregation to join us.
And so
Do you have, go ahead.
go ahead, Tom. No, you go ahead, please.
I was just going to ask you, Do you have a slide that has the
Yeah.
website address that
Yes.
we can, or tell us that people that are here can
Yes.
go to it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
does your radio station archive your past radio broadcasts?
Yes, they are.
Yes, yes. So that my very last slide had the webinar address on it. I do want to say that we have been marketing this webinar for about the last 2 months, and actually, I just didn't know whom to send because it was an email campaign, and I sent it to Santranita, but you know. I sent out 300 emails and probably like about 299 people say they didn't get it. So I did the best I could. So today is the final day of registration. But because we know that we have entered the blue zone, and that you are like-minded people, that we are extending our registration until Sunday. And so if I could get back into my slides, I can bring that slide up that has the address. I'm gonna need to have the help again. Would it be the share screen thing
Yeah,
down here?
down at the bottom, the green button.
Okay, yes.
And then
Okay,
what is the radio station call letters?
Miss Sandy?
It's blogtalkradio.com/Sandy Rogers, SandYRODGERS. And the radio program is called Now What? Where do I go from here?
I didn't catch the radio station call letters.
Well, it's on Blog Talk Radio.
Oh, Blog Talk. Okay.
Yes, sir.
I-
And
I'm-
Tom has been a guest of ours. And Evelyn actually was our premier guest when we first started off a year ago.
Yes, yes. I'm stopping here for a moment because I just wanted to share this. We're talking about longevity and vitality. I would like you all to meet, can you see this slide?
Yes.
Yes.
I would like you all to meet Mrs. Ida Keeling, who is at this particular picture, she was 102 years old, and she's a sprinter. As you can see, she put on her first pair of running shoes at age 67 to overcome grief of her two sons being murdered. But it's never too late. You're never too old to step into your greatness. So go, Ida, go. Okay. So, can you see?
Yeah.
Can you see it? Or is the thing in the way? The address.
Oh, there we go.
Okay,
That's email.
yeah, that's my email, but yeah, I'm gonna go back. Hold on a second. Can you see the whole screen?
Oh,
Yeah.
the part at the bottom there it goes.
There it is. Yeah, I was trying for that.
Just Speak Wellness. Okay.
Yeah, so it's sisters with an S, speakwellness.com/reg. And for people in your congregation, in your tribe, we have extended the date of registration ending to Sunday at midnight.
Oh, we appreciate that.
Everybody else tonight at midnight, it's done. It's over. The train is leaving the station. So it's
Yeah, we will.
God brought us together. God brought the four of us together, and we're all wounded healers. Each of us have a specialty in the diseases that we all overcome and reversed. Myself, I'm a triple hitter. I'm high blood pressure. I am diabetes. and I am obesity. And everybody else has their own illnesses that they suffered with for a long time, and that threw their bodies completely out of whack and out of balance. And we are all balanced sisters now, reaching back to pull our sisters up with us.
Yes,
There
sir.
is no reason in this world to be ill, not with the knowledge that we have out here. My father-in-law, his name was George Waters, was the smartest, most wise man I ever knew. And he always would say, if a man don't know, he just don't know. But his very wise daughter-in-law would come back with, yes, but what you don't know can harm and even kill you.
That's right.
Right.
So get the website and put in that website, and you will see our webinar page come down. And on that page, as you read down, there is a place for you to register.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. Well, we also want to say, we want to thank everyone for coming. And the other thing is we will have this recorded. It has been recorded. We will have it up on YouTube.
Oh,
We will have it up
okay.
on YouTube at Your Bible Speaks SDA Church.
Okay, Your Bible Speaks Church. Okay.
Your Bible Speaks SDA Church. You get there, and then you'll see not only Touch of Health, but you also see some of our other streaming from our church services. But Touch of Health at TOH, you'll be there both ways. So, and you can pass that on.
Okay, yeah, because it's kind of late back here, so a lot of people, you know, they couldn't hang out with us.
Yeah.
So
I don't blame them. It's 11 o'clock your time.
Yeah,
yeah.
So I'm usually asleep at 11 o'clock.
me
So
too. We want
Wow.
to thank
we
you, Star.
appreciate you.
We want to thank
So,
you, everybody.
well, I certainly, on a personal standpoint, and also for our team, are very, very thankful and grateful to come on to your telecast here and hear what you're putting down and for you to pick up what we laying down. So
Yes.
we can be on the same sheet of music and collaborate even in the future, because I would love to come for a weekend and just do raw food preparation when we can.
We would love to have you
And
come.
Evelyn has already said I can stay with her.
Okay. We'll get rid of this COVID here stuff this next year, and things like that will start again.
Yes, 11 p.m. Absolutely, absolutely. So I thank you very much for myself, and I thank you for Sister Speak Wellness. See,
Yeah.
this hand is saying bye to Derek and to Tom, and this hand over here saying bye to Evelyn. And all of this is saying goodbye to all of everyone else. Thank you for coming out and hearing about eating it raw.
Eating it
I
raw.
like mine raw.
Thank you for
Thank you, Star.
All right, sweetie.
So
Tell Gaylord I said hi.
we will see you all soon. We
All
hope.
right. Good night.
Good
Good
night.
night.